here on WUSC-FM. I have on the phone with me right now, I'm going to put her on the air, Miss Beverly Bremers. How are you doing this morning, Beverly?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been looking forward to this interview for some time, but I guess most people remember you for your 1972 song, Don't Say You Don't Remember.
Yes.
Yeah, but you were also in Hair.
I was.
Yeah. You were in the...
all at the same time.
Oh, yeah. So you're doing Broadway and pop music at the same time.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Now, I was just telling Beverly just before we went on the air that I messed up this morning and somehow did not get correctly loaded her brand new songs that she has out from her brand new album called Remembering the 60s, but I will be playing them on the air in the upcoming weeks here on WSCO, so I'll get that out right out at the very... My mistake, as we say. So
well, that's okay.
Yeah. I got to ask you, you were born in Chicago? Is that right?
I was.
Yeah. And then,
yeah. I didn't live there that long, though. My family moved when I was 3, so I spent my wonder years in St. Louis.
Ah, a very musical town.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then when I was 10, we moved to the suburbs of New York.
Oh, okay.
Which is where I spent most of my time.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Broadway being right there and all that. But when you got busy when you moved to New York City, because when you were on, what was your 13th birthday, you performed on the Ted Mack Amateur Hour?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it was one of those fluky things.
Yeah.
I was in a local talent show, basically on a dare, and also because I wanted my friend to be in it, and so she said, well, I'm not going to do a solo unless you do a solo. So I said, okay. So I just sang the only song I knew at the time, which was Hey, Look Me Over.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up winning, which was a shock to me and just about everybody else. And so then I went on to some county shows, and they had a scout there from the Ted Mack show. So they asked me to be on the show, and that's what I did.
Well, that turned out to be pretty pivotal,
right?
Started
Started everything moving.
Yeah, because the very next year you recorded your first song.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's kind of an interesting transition because I'd been studying acting from the time I was about 8.
Mm-hmm.
I started in St. Louis going to acting school, and so that had always been my interest. And the singing was just sort of a casual thing, no one really took it very seriously. And then once the talent show happened, it was like, And living in the suburbs of New York, there were a lot of people in the business who, would give me opportunities to perform. I sang at the famous Palisades Amusement Park in New Jersey many times.
Were you out there at the same time that Cousin Brucey was out there from WABC?
Oh, Cousin Brucey, the real Don Steele, Hal Jackson, BMR, who was another big disc jockey in New York. They were all legends in that time, and I got to work with all of them. It was fun.
How about the performers? How about Boom Boom Cannon? Did you perform with him out there?
I don't recall that I ever was with him. Yeah. Although it was so long ago, I could have, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But a lot of great performers. And it was an outdoor stage.
Mm-hmm.
And you just went out there and sang to recordings. And then during that time, I met a producer who said, hey, let's go in the studio. So, I made my first record when I was 14. So, and then I started performing on local variety shows.
I got to tell you that the song you did at 14 was one of my favorites of all time, The Great Pretender.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was fun. Yeah, we did sort of an upbeat version of it. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So how did you become Chrissy on Hair?
Well, the Hair story really was I had met an agent from one of the big agencies, and it was one of those routines where he gave me his card and said, hey, if I can ever do anything for you, let me know. And I had some friends who had gone to a matinee of Hair, and I ran into them actually getting off at the train, having just seen it, and they went, we just saw this show. You are so perfect for this. you really ought to try to audition. And I had heard about it, and I wanted to get an appointment as opposed to just going to a cattle call. So I called this agent, and I said, "Did you mean what you said?" And he said, "Yes."
Wow.
And I told him what I wanted, and he goes, "Oh, nobody gets into that show. It's too hard." I said, "I know I'm perfect," because I went and saw it right after that. And I was like, "Oh, if ever I couldn't be more perfect for this show." And so he set up an appointment, and that was it. I mean, they said right off the bat, "Where do you want to go? You want to be in L.A. or New York?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to be on Broadway." So I got in the show, and then I played Chrissy a lot of the time, among other roles. And then I left the show to be in another show called Me Nobody Knows. And you might be familiar with one of the other actors who was in the show, a little girl named Irene Cara.
Oh, yeah. And you won an Obie. You won an Obie for that show.
Right, which is an award for off-Broadway. So we started the show off-Broadway, and then it went to Broadway. So I did that for a year and a half, and then the hair people asked me to come back and play the role that I knew I should have been playing all along, which was Sheila.
Oh, I agree, the lead.
Yeah. So, they needed somebody to play Chrissy, and I looked really young back then, so they didn't think I was old enough for Sheila. But when I came back, I was. So there I was. So I ended up singing Easy to Be Hard, and I did the show till it closed.
Wow.
I was in the last performance on Broadway, which was really, really exciting. I wish they had filmed it, because they invited everybody who had ever been in the show to come on stage for the group numbers. And it was wild. I mean, that's 5 years worth of people.
Wow. I'm sure. Well,
and great talent came out of that show.
During the time that you were with the other show, the Me Nobody Knows.
Me Nobody Knows.
That's when you met David.
Pardon?
That's when you met David Lipton, is it not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My husband.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy. Yeah. He was working at the publishing company. He was actually head of the pop music department as well as the Broadway stuff. And so we met at the cast album recording session of the Me Nobody Knows. And that was it.
And this is where it all comes together, right? Because didn't he get the Don't Say You Don't Remember from his employer for you?
Well, kind of, yeah. He asked, there were quite a few writers that were on staff there, and so he just asked around, said, and does anyone have a song? Because he said to me, you've done all this recording. I recorded for RCA. I had several songs out for them, and he says, you should be recording. And I said, I agree.
Yep.
So we found the song, and what we did, which was very common back then, is we did what was called record a master. So we paid for it ourselves to record it, and then we went to various record labels and see who was interested in buying it, and Scepter said yes.
Oh, and
how that went.
That's not a shabby label to get on either, I'm telling you.
No, it was great.
Well, I think
it's historic, because Florence Greenberg was the only female record president, I think, ever. Until much later when Madonna started a label. But as far as record presidents, and she had independent distribution, so they were like the big little guys.
Yeah.
And of course Dionne Warwick was the star of the label. But it was like a little family, so it was really nice.
Wow. Well, why don't we take a moment and listen to Don't Say You Don't Remember, and we'll come back with more from Beverly in just a few minutes right here on WUSC-FM. That's the sound of Beverly Bremers and Don't Say You Don't Remember. Boy, what a great song that was, Beverly. I did one of my favorite songs of the early 1970s.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you and I were just talking and realized we have a common friend in Mark Dawson of the Grassroots. And you were saying that you did a concert with him not too long ago?
Yeah. There's a radio station in Jackson, Tennessee that does concerts twice a year with all the favorites from the 60s and the 70s mainly. A few 80s every once in a while. And Mark did the last show that I did, and it's great. We had a blast together. It's so fun meeting and working with all the great acts. Back in the day, it's really nice.
It's amazing that he feels exactly the same way. He said, these guys, I grew up, they were my heroes, and now I'm playing with them.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So, but you're still very active. I know that you do voice coaching and that you're still recording. So tell us a little bit about the record you recorded, Remembering the 60s.
Well, that's my most recent CD. I've made several CDs over the last, 15 years. So my most recent one was I wanted to really do a salute to the female artists of the 60s. Mm-hmm. And so I just recently did a CD called Remembering the 60s, and it's got a picture of me in the 60s on the cover.
Oh,
and,
my.
And so it's I did some of my favorite songs from the 60s on there. So it's out there, and if anybody is interested, just go to my website, which is beverlybremers.com. And my last name is spelled Bremers. And thank you, by the way, you know how to pronounce my name. Most people think it's Bremers. So over the years, I tell people as we go along, but I know back in the day most people said Beverly Bremers, and as far as I was concerned, that's okay. Just play the record.
Play the record, royalties will come in.
I don't care how you say my name. But anyway, that is how it's spelled, so it's beverlybremers.com. And I have all my CDs on there that people can purchase. Mm-hmm. And so it's all. I have another CD that's on Amazon and CD Baby. But they're all on my website, so they can either buy a CD or get a download if you're into that. So yes, I've stayed active. I've done a lot of theater. I was in the famous Rocky Horror Show.
There you go.
In Los Angeles before they made the movie, and then another show that's very popular called Menopause the Musical. And a very funny show with all parodies of all the old songs with special lyrics, basically about getting old. A very funny show.
Baby boomers can relate to that.
I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody relates to it. I mean, the women obviously more than the men, but it's funny for everybody. So I did that show for about a year in Los Angeles, and which is where I live now. In the outskirts of L.A., so I'm a West Coast person now.
Oh, I thought you were still in New York for some reason.
No, I left New York like 73, so I've been out here a long time. So gotta get in the sunshine and
that's right.
That.
but not too much.
I do try to travel and perform in different areas. My main area, obviously, is Southern California. I do solo shows. I also have a group, a trio, and female trio, and we do all the 60s and 70s girl groups and female artists, which is a lot of fun. Well, so we also do that show around, and anybody that loves it, we do the hair, the clothes, the choreography, the harmonies. It's great. Yeah. A lot of fun.
I can't pass up on this. I got to ask you about your Disney experience.
Mm-hmm.
You were in a platinum record for Mousercise. Was that it?
Yes, that's a song I wrote because it's another one. I have kind of multiple careers going on. I've been doing voiceovers since I was a teenager. So you might have heard my speaking voice on something or other, I used to do jingles also. Along the way, I auditioned for a show that actually never happened, but the guy who was in charge, named Mike Post, who had a whole bunch of hits.
Oh, yeah, Mike. Mm-hmm.
He said, "Did you write that song?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "I love that song. You should speak to my friend at Disney." And so I ended up working for Mike Post, doing jingles, actually, out here. as well as meeting a guy named Tom Bocci at the publishing company at Disney, and they had a project in the works to follow up Disco Mickey Mouse, and they had a lot of guest recording artists on there and special material. And he said, we're getting ready to do an exercise album for kids, and we need the theme. Can you write the Mousercise theme? Okay. So I did.
That is fantastic.
So I wrote the Mousercise theme. It was a show at Disneyland. It was a TV show on the Disney Channel for 12 years. It's, been all over the place. So, yes, it went platinum.
Oh, wow. As long as you tell me you did not write It's a Small World After All, we're good.
But I wish I had.
I know. I mean, that thing,
But, so they, so Mousercise, I was always afraid, oh, no. So that'll be on my tombstone. She wrote Mousercise.
Right,
but a lot of people come up to me. They played it as an exercise song for adults as well. So,
well, I must admit,
a lot of adults.
I did too. I taught an aerobic.
You did?
I did. I taught an aerobics class here at the YMCA here in Columbia, and used it as part of my aerobics repertoire. So
see, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, because people told me it wasn't just for kids.
No, that's right. Definitely not for kids.
So Mousercise is just one of my writing things. I wrote a couple of songs from time to time that were recorded, and then I've written 5 musicals that have been produced here and there. My most recent one was a musical version of the famous Christmas story, Gift of the Magi.
Oh, yeah.
And we just had a production of that a couple of years ago, and so that's out, and it's published. And so if anybody wants to put on a Christmas show, just go to giftofthemagi.themusical.com, and I have my musical there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
promise me that next time you have a booking somewhere over here in the Southeast, you'll let me know so we can talk about that here and maybe get some more audience out there to see you.
Yeah, well, I'm not familiar enough with the area to know what venues are available, but, I'm always looking for places to perform. Mm-hmm. So if you think of any, or any of your listeners think of any, let me know.
Look for an email from me. I'll send you some venues here. We had a couple of nice venues here in town. One is called the Township Auditorium, holds about 4,000. And we also have the Colonial Life Arena, which holds about 13 to 14,000. So we got venues of all sizes, and then we have some smaller ones. Yeah, we also have some smaller ones, some clubs and stuff like that. There's a very active alt music scene down here. So and every now and then we see we have artists come in and stuff like that. Of course, we have the State Fair coming up, and with a couple of older artists coming in as well, old school artists, as I like to say, oldies artists. So look for.
That's what I'm looking for.
I will send you an email with some of the details of that stuff and how to get in touch with the folks down here. So,
well, wonderful.
Yeah. So we'll do that. Thank you so much for taking your time this morning to come in and visit with us here. I do appreciate it very much.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I always enjoy talking and hearing what's going on everywhere, and meeting new people. So even though we're not face-to-face, I feel like I know you now.
I agree. Yep. And definitely, so let's keep in touch, and maybe we'll have you come back on some other time, and maybe we'll feature some of your newer songs here some other time here on WSC as well.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Excellent.
And who knows, by then I may have another CD.
There you go. Well, when you release a new CD, make sure you let me know about that too, because I'll be sure to get it on the air on all the different stations I'm on. So we'll be glad to do that. Super. So we've been speaking with Beverly Bremers, and a lot of people thought it was Bremers, but it is Bremers. I think I don't know where I learned that, but it was some time ago. And she had, of course, the big 1972 song, "Don't Say You Don't Remember," and of course a huge career on the stage with Hair and some other plays in New York City. Beverly, we will see you again sometime soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
You've got your radio tuned to 90.5 WUSC-FM, Columbia.